Good afternoon, very warm welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our daily look at all things 2026 World Cup. I'm Chris Bell, I'd like to say, joined as ever by Jayson Boocker to go through, all things over the last 24 hours or so in the FIFA World Cup. How are you, mate? You well?
Really good, mate. Apart from the rising heat, everybody moans about, and then when it's cold, we moan that it's cold. So yeah, we're just typical British, aren't we? But I would much rather have it freezing every day. I'm sticky, I'm tacky, I'm showering 3 times a day. I hate it. So yeah,
yeah,
all good.
It's one of those. The heat can do one for me. As you said, I'd much rather it be cool and you put layers on, as we were talking about yesterday. Let's get straight into the action from last night. 3 groups to get through, of course, with all the with now being at the start of the final round of group games. We'll start with what I think is Group A, if I've got these in the right order. And that was a big win for South Africa in the end. A win that puts them through. We'll come to it with the table in a few moments, but it puts them second. Who the frig saw that coming? Like, they spent the first 2 games looking a bit of a shambles, in all honesty, and then somehow they've pulled this result out of the bag when they needed it.
I mean, they were awful on the opening day, weren't they? They opened up the World Cup and they were full of mistakes, lack of quality. Mexico basically just turned up and blew them away, and Mexico didn't need to play well to blow them away. So yeah, it's a very, very odd situation in that group. One in which I think South Korea have looked really good in. Certainly in patches, they were more than a match for every team in that group. And they end up coming out of it finishing 3rd on 3 points and might not qualify. I think they will, based on the goal difference. It'll be tight, but yeah, it's a bizarre one. And I never saw South Africa winning this game, to be honest.
No,
caught the highlights. They created some good chances. They hit well on the counter attack. It looks like that were their kind of approach to the game, to hit quickly on the counter attack, and it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the first half before I went to bed, and South Korea certainly had the better of the play, better of the chances. I kind of went to bed thinking South Korea will probably get through that okay. But then, as you say, just one of those moments where they were caught on the counter, and that was the end of that one. In the other group game, no surprise in that one. Mexico seeing things out in the group with 3 wins from 3, taking maximum points. The Czech Republic have been... It's difficult to say kind of disappointing, because we acknowledged before the tournament started, I think, this isn't necessarily, a Czech Republic side of years gone by when they've had some good players all over the park sort of thing. It's a little bit of a different one this time around, and that's kind of shown, I guess, in the performances and the way they've ended up coming bottom of the group.
Yeah, I think the disappointing thing with Czechia is that you would have expected them to be more difficult to beat. And to be honest, they haven't been difficult to beat. They've been quite easy to play against, really. So yeah, it's very surprising to me that they end up finishing bottom of this group with South Africa in it. But that's just tournament football, group stage football. Few games and it's done, and it's over and done with before you've even had a chance to get going sometimes. On the other flip side of it, Mexico, it'll be really interesting to see what they are about when they start playing teams that are a little bit more competitive. They've topped a group in which I think they would have expected to win, but they have done it at a canter. 6 goals scored, no conceded. They're at home. A bit of a partisan kind of atmosphere. Guadalajara Stadium's a huge place to play. The Azteca Stadium as well. They've got the wind sailing in their direction.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a fist for anybody that comes across them, even if they will go into certain games as the underdog.
It's very likely to change, but as it stands, Mexico would play Scotland, and South Africa, if I can just quickly find it, they would play Canada. So yeah, it would be interesting if it does stay like that. But as I say, I can't see Scotland clinging on to a place with so many games to go. Let's look into Group B then. Tournament hosts Canada. They suffered their first defeat. A 2-1 defeat against the Swiss yesterday. I don't know if this is one that you watched or not. I'll be honest, I was watching the other game in Group B, the Bosnia versus Qatar game.
Yeah, I actually watched this one, so it's quite good for us to be able to review them. Yeah, I watched this one only because when I was watching it on the iPlayer and it was the game that was on, or on ITV, I can't remember which channel it was on, but I watched the one that was on the main channel rather than the other one. And by the time I'd realised that it were over on ITV4, I think it was, I was like, I'm already invested in this game now. The first half was horrific.
Really?
The pundits and the commentary were like, it can't get any worse than that kind of stuff. So basically, Canada set out to just stink the place out. They knew that they needed a draw to win the group, and that was how Jesse Marsh approached it, which is a shame because we went into this game saying how we'd been impressed with the way that they set up, and it was fun to watch. They weren't fun to watch, and thankfully, Vargas scored after I think it was 40 seconds of the second half. And it changed the game. The second half was then brilliant. It was exciting to watch. Canada had to come out to try and obviously equalise. Switzerland then hit on the counter-attack. Manzambi was a handful all game. Real problem for Canada to deal with. Scored a great goal, the second goal.
He is some player in a Johan Manzambi. 20 years of age. Plays for Freiburg. Can't imagine him playing for Freiburg for very long.
He's an absolute handful, mate. I mean, Switzerland just have a way of doing this with young prodigies, don't they? And bringing through some unbelievable talent. And, there have been some brilliant players that have come through the Swiss ranks, obviously no more so than Shaqiri, who had a brilliant career and was Mr. Switzerland and always turned up at the international tournament. So, we shouldn't be that surprised, really, by them carrying on producing top talent. But, yeah, they found their way back into it. The third goal of the game, Canada's goal, was a beaut. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, see that. No.
Ball over the top, and Buchanan takes one touch with his left foot to kill the ball out of the air over his shoulder, then swivels and kind of puts it into an area on his right foot. So it's like one touch with one touch with the other, and then Promise David finishes it with the outside of his right foot as it's coming across his body. It's just a really great, it's an aesthetically pleasing goal to watch. You know what I mean? And he's been a nuisance. We were linked with him a year ago, Promise David, and he's not just a big man, you know what I mean? Because he's obviously tall, but he's technically very good. And the game kind of then went out. Canada had a few opportunities. Liam Miller came on and changed the game a little bit, but they just couldn't get the goal that they needed.
Fair enough. So it's Switzerland that topped the group. In the other game, Bosnia, they put in a hell of a performance first half, especially against Qatar. They were all over. I was very surprised to see Qatar, to be fair, pull one back before the break. A really good performance from them. And to be fair, the kind of performance from Bosnia that I'd kind of seen them against Canada in the opening game and thought they would be capable of putting together a good performance. It came at the right time for them to get them into that third place spot, and more importantly for them, puts them on 4 points in a third place spot, which should get them through.
Yeah, 4 points will be enough, regardless of goal difference. I thought, I've seen the highlights. I thought Bosnia looked pretty good against Canada. I thought they applied themselves pretty well as well. But technically, they've got some nice players. It's just whether they've got the strength in depth and the quality to carry on being a competitive kind of stand up to any of the top nations. That's the question for these sides, where they're caught in between. Can they really compete in a one-off game against the top side? I don't think Bosnia will be able to do that. The young lad that scored the first goal, I was
just about to come on to Ali Begovic, because he's 18 years of age. Again, he plays for Red Bull Salzburg, but he kind of came through in Germany at FC Köln, and then 4 years at Bayer Leverkusen. You can see the talent is there, and again at his age, it's easy to say I know because he's 18, we're seeing him in the World Cup, but he could have a hell of a future ahead of him.
Yeah, he's one of them talents that you pick up for like 2.2 million on Football Manager at 17, and he dominates the game for the next 15 years, isn't he? He very, very technically gifted player, very, very good looking player. I know they were excited for him before the tournament even started. I don't think he started the first game. I think he came off the bench, if I remember rightly. I could be wrong. Hopefully we can now see him have an impact in whatever left Bosnia have in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's got 928 for Red Bull Salzburg this season. He's come off the back of a pretty good season. Yeah. In Austria. So as it stands, again, subject to change, of course, but it's just always interesting just to take a look. At the moment, Switzerland would host would play Algeria. Canada, they would face, as I mentioned before, South Africa, and Bosnia and Herzegovina. If I can find it, they would play the United States as it stands. I'd say a lot to change, though.
They're going to move round, mate. I mean, I think we can start looking at that once we get to the last two groups. But
true.
There's going to be so much.
Just like looking at how often it changes and how it moves around. I still haven't quite worked out how they're selecting the third place sides and which third place side plays which first place side for which group and all that market. Let's turn then. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say when you, because I mentioned this in the group this morning. When you have a look at the fact that so many of the teams that are already on 3 or 4 points could slip into third place, you're in a situation where the teams that are on 3 points, especially those that are struggling with goal difference in the third place playoff, if that's what you want to call it, they're going to move down. There's going to be a lot of shifting. Anybody that's on 3 points, I think, is in jeopardy. For whatever reason, there seems to be this kind of prediction that 3 points is the holy grail marker that you need. I think it's more 4. And then
there was a lot of talk beforehand, wasn't there? There was a lot of talk before the tournament started that, 1 win should get you through sort of thing. But actually, you're right. I think as the tournament has progressed and the way the group games have gone, that is starting to look a little bit less likely.
Yeah, well, I think
some, but it won't be many 3 pointers. I don't think
it won't be many. I think the route through in third on 3 points would be 3 draws. 0 goal difference. I think that is where you're going to need to be.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if there's anybody that is going to do that, but you could have maybe had, a 1-0 win, a 1-0 loss, and I don't know, you couldn't have a draw then, could you? But you know what I'm trying to say? Like the goal difference needs to be, I think, at the top end of 0 or -1 at the max.
Yeah, well, this is where, for example, like South Korea that we saw obviously in the previous group, they currently sit on that -1 3 points. Situation. So they're going to be the kind of the benchmark at this early stage of seeing how far they will move down and potentially be at risk. Let's go into Group C then. Morocco beating Haiti, but Haiti putting up a heck of a fight and a hell of a strike from Wilson Isidore in particular in this game. But once again, a situation where the quality of Morocco in the end is what came through and told. But again, credit to Haiti with the level of the performance. We've seen them put in good performances, but not get the results.
It's kind of what we were saying beforehand, wasn't it? Yesterday when we were chatting through, we kind of predicted that this is how the game would go, that Haiti had give up a respectable performance and probably end up losing. And that's kind of how it played out. Probably goal of the tournament so far from Wilson Isidore. It's probably my favourite to watch. The way that it pings into the top corner in the way that it does. It's an arrow, isn't it? It's just so straight. The view behind the strike is a beauty. But yeah, Morocco, look, they're going to hurt teams. They've got a lot of dynamism. They've got a lot of technical ability. They've got goals in the ranks. Saibari is just signed for Bayern Munich, apparently. He's an absolute handful. He's more of an out-and-out 9 than what a lot of the teams have in the competition outside the very, very top nations. We were talking about it yesterday being a problem for some of the nations, Croatia as an example. They have that. They have the technical ability. They have experience and, in the likes of Hakimi, right at the top level. They have everything, really, that a nation needs. I think, we were talking about African nations being at the top, Morocco, Ivory Coast. They both stand a real chance of going as far as I'd say the final 4-ish.
Let's take a look at the other game in Group C, and then it was, of course, Scotland's potential departure from the World Cup. It will remain to be seen. Suffering a poor goal difference in the end. They had 3-0 defeat to Brazil. Brazil, I mean, let's be fair. Scotland gave them a bloody hand, to say the least, in the first couple of goals.
Well, the second goal didn't bloody count, did it? For me, it was a shocker of a decision. I've watched it back another couple of times late last night. I don't get it. I don't get how VAR's come to that conclusion at all. He's got his foot in between Hendry and the ball, and then Hendry's kicked Vinny Jr. Like, that's football. The idea of football is to dispossess your opponent, and he's got his foot in front. How is it a foul? Because Hendry's kicked through him. It's just a mental decision. It didn't matter anyway. Very, very strange. And what was even more strange was James McFadden trying to argue it. Like, come on, just put the bias lenses down. But I'll be honest with you, Chris, I was really disappointed with Scotland. Really disappointed. You know, they have this whole kind of mantra about how, you know, tough they are to beat and how difficult they are to play against. They weren't difficult to play against at all. They rolled over and let Brazil tickle them in probably Scotland's biggest game in the last 30 years. That's the truth. It could have been 4, 5 or 6. I don't think Brazil got out of second gear, really. They just kind of did it at a canter. So, you know, I know Scotland have not qualified for a competition since 98. I get that it's impressive that they're even here and they've come to the World Cup and won a game of football, but they've beaten Haiti 1-0 in a game that they didn't deserve to win. I think it's been a really disappointing tournament for Scotland, if I'm honest. Really disappointing.
Yeah, saying not gone quite as that a lot of the Tottenham we would have hoped, that is for sure. The group table then sees Brazil and Morocco level on 7 points. Brazil top it on goal difference because obviously they drew their game against each other. Scotland City in third, 3 points, but again, as we were talking about how important goal difference is going to be, -3 does look rather sketchy at the moment with so many other games to go, it's fair to say. Again, I'm going to do it anyway. As it stands, Brazil would play Japan, Morocco would play the Netherlands, and Scotland would have Mexico if they were fortunate enough to stay through. But
Morocco-Netherlands would be a nice game, wouldn't it?
To be fair, Brazil-Japan as well would be a pretty entertaining one as well. Like there's some of these fixtures that I'm looking at as it stands, and they're thinking, I don't want it to change, actually. There's some quite interesting looking games here, but they inevitably probably will.
I don't see Scotland getting through on -3, unfortunately for them.
No.
And I'd argue that they don't deserve to go through. You know, like if they get through, they get through. But
it's one of those depends. There's sides below that have got, you know, lower points and worse goal differences that I guess in the end they will deserve to get through. But I know exactly what you mean. They haven't been as good when it's come to the crunch. Certainly, they haven't been as good when it comes to the tournament stage as they were. You know, and they played so well in so many games in qualifying to get here. It's just been such a disappointment that those performance levels haven't been able to be reached compared to, you know, what they were doing to get here in the first place.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Let's turn our attentions then to tonight's games. We'll start with the 9 o'clockers, which again they're not going in group order, which is doing my absolute nutting. But we're starting with Group E tonight. Curacao versus the Ivory Coast and Ecuador versus Germany, both at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, Curacao have obviously struggled. Did they pick up a point against Ecuador? Have I made that up?
They did, yeah, goalless draw.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a real tough one. I can't remember exactly how these get. Ivory Coast beat Ecuador, didn't they? And then
Germany beat the Ivory Coast. So as it stands, Germany top the group, 2 wins from 2 on 6 points. Ivory Coast currently second, 3 points with 1 win and 1 loss. And then Ecuador and Curacao with a point apiece, 1 loss and 1 draw. Curacao need an absolute miracle, though, because their goal difference is on -6. So they would have to absolutely thump the Ivory Coast and hope that Germany beat Ecuador to stand a chance. And Germany beat Ecuador comfortably to stand a chance of moving up to third.
I mean, it's pretty likely then, looking at it, that this will be one of the groups where the third place team don't go through. That's pretty much right, isn't it? Unless
I think that's probably
Ecuador beat Germany.
I mean, yeah, exactly. You would need Curacao or Ecuador to beat Ivory Coast or Germany, sort of thing, to put them into to third for a start. But then they would be on 4 points.
Yeah, Ecuador. I mean, obviously because of Curacao's. Yeah, because Curacao got a point as well, haven't they?
It's a weird one. Curacao could go to 4 points, but still have like a -4, -5 goal difference.
4 points will be enough. 4 points will be enough regardless of goal difference. Maybe not then. Maybe, I mean, I suppose it's more down to the landscape of the games, right? Because Ecuador and Curacao are both going to go into them games as heavy underdogs. I think it'll be interesting to see what Germany are about. I think we've seen good and bad from them as well. You know, the Curacao game was what it was, but the game against Ivory Coast, it kind of went back and forward. They were behind in that game and then came back to win 2-1, I think it was. It'll be interesting to see what they've got. Because I think Ecuador are a better team than what they've shown so far, really.
Yeah, the thing with Ecuador for me is just still having to bring out a 36-year-old Enner Valencia to lead the line. It just suggests to me that for some reason Ecuadorian strikers have not been coming through well.
Yeah, he's had some chances as well, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, and he's missed a lot of. I'm not sure he's scored, to be fair, but he's missed a lot of the chances that they've had. Into the final two groups, then these are UK times, and I clearly forgot to edit the graphic site to not cover us both up, so I'll just quickly tweak that. The midnight group: Japan versus Sweden and Tunisia versus the Netherlands in Group F. Just to put some context on where things stand at the moment, the Netherlands and Japan are level on 4 points apiece with a draw and a win each, level on goal difference as well, both on +4. Sweden currently third, 3 points with 1 win and 1 loss and a 0 goal difference. Tunisia, the whipping boys really of the group, 2 defeats from 2 so far and a -8 goal difference.
Yeah, Tunisia are dead and buried out. The Netherlands will win that game. I mean, they've looked awful, haven't they, Tunisia? They've been one of the worst teams in the comp. And then Sweden have had a 5-1 win and a 4-0 loss. 5-1 loss,
it's such a bizarre, erratic set of results, but sitting currently where they are, on 3 points with a 0 goal difference, doesn't actually put them in a bad position, because if they pick up a point, if they can hold Japan to a draw, perhaps. Obviously, Japan had finished second, Sweden had finished third, and again, 4 points and a 0 goal difference would probably get them through.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how they'll approach this game, to be honest. I think they'll be very much safety first. The problem for Sweden is all their talent is at the other end of the pitch. You know, it's all up front. So just saying, Jez. I did mention it to Chris beforehand that I look a little bit like a hillbilly today. I don't care. It's coming out. I need the vest on. It's so hot. And
thanks for joining us whilst you're sat in a bar in Bangkok, Jay. That is very much appreciated. Jed, that is very much appreciated. But I wonder if it's hotter here or in Bangkok. To be fair, I assume it's some chilled beverage that he's got, whereas I've got the rest of me Iron Brew from last night. To be fair. I'm sat right next to my PC as well, which is a big old unit and kicks off a lot of heat. And it's hot. It's very hot. So just to sorry, I got sidetracked by Jed's quite completely there. Just to quickly recap how you think Group F will finish today.
I mean, I think Japan will have too much for Sweden, and I think they beat them. And I think we see then Sweden go out. I predicted that Sweden would go out of this group anyway. I predicted that they'd finish bottom. I was pretty surprised to see them turn up with the performance that they did, even against Tunisia. But I think it says more about Tunisia than it does Sweden. I still think that Sweden
too, though, isn't it? Like, when you've got the likes of Gyökeres and Isak and Alexander Isak as a front two, you're always going to have a chance, I guess. So it will be interesting to see how that game goes. I think that's the one I think I'll probably be watching at midnight. To be fair, Japan, Sweden. As much as I love watching the Dutch, you just expect them to get past Tunisia well. Final group, then Group D. Paraguay will host Australia. Turkey against the United States. Again, just to run you through where things stand going into that. The United States, 6 points from 2 games for them, topping the group. Australia on 3 points with a 0 goal difference. Paraguay also on 3 points with a -2 goal difference. And then Turkey out of the tournament with 2 defeats from 2. So with that in mind, that Paraguay-Australia game, a lot at stake on that one. Winner start and also plunges whoever's third potentially into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the forgotten group, isn't it? Because the games have been on at anti-sociable times, if I remember rightly, pretty much all the way through. For whatever reason, these are the games that I've missed the most of live. I think I picked the highlights on all of them. It's probably to cater for the US, which is totally fair. Turkey have had an absolute shocker. They've had 60 shots on goal and not scored. I have no idea in both of the games how they've not hit the back of the net at least once with some of the chances that they had. I mentioned Hakan Suka the other day. If they'd have had a striker of his ilk in his pomp for Turkey, I think there'd be rattling goals in this group because the creativity around putting the ball in the net is fine. It's just when they get to that point, they don't put it in the back of the net. So, How have we entered a situation in which they can't qualify, though?
Well, I was just thinking this, but that was because I remember when they went out, the fact that they were officially the first team to go out of the.
Is it because of head-to-head? It'll be because of head-to-head,
because of head-to-head, because Turkey have lost to both Australia and Paraguay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's also absolutely mental to be in a situation where Turkey could technically hammer the United States for 6. And Australia beat Paraguay, and Turkey would finish on a +3 goal difference.
Yeah.
Whilst Paraguay would finish on -5 and still finish third.
Yeah.
And this is where you called it a little bit as BS last night when we were talking about the third place situation. But it does seem absolutely mental that actually Turkey could go and rack up a really good win against the United States, hypothetically, and still end up being bottom of the group.
Yeah. It literally makes no sense whatsoever. Weird. It's a really strange format to do it like that over so few games as well. Yeah. So anyway, it is what it is. That's the rule. I mean, why wouldn't Paraguay and Australia just play out a draw here?
Well, that's the thing. They potentially could just do that. It might be that football match in The Simpsons where they just pass it from side to side to side and nobody moves an inch. It could be like that because, as you say, that would put the Australians and the Paraguayans both through on 4 points, you would think. We've seen
it in real life as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, we have seen that has happened before. And what's Paraguay's goal difference?
-2 currently.
Might not be enough to get them through. That'd be the only concern. So Australia are in front of Paraguay, right?
Yeah, with a goal difference of 0.
That'd be the only concern from a Paraguay perspective, that -2 goals won't be enough, but they'd both be on 4 points. 4 points is going to be enough. I'm talking waffle. It'd be enough. I'm going to wager a bet now that's a 0-0 draw.
You know what? I think that's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout at all. It will be interesting to see how that game does actually play out. But I'm going to be honest. I don't think I'll be staying up at 3 a.m. to watch it. So I'll be checking the highlights out tomorrow morning. We've kind of touched on all the World Cup stuff. We'll very quickly touch on, I'll be honest, what's felt like a far bigger and more important thing today is that the EFL fixtures are out. I was talking to you before, Jay, before we came on air, saying, the fixture computer will be fixed. It'll be Lincoln at home against one of the Premier League relegated sides. Not the case at all. Lincoln, Charlton, Middlesbrough on the opening day. To bring this more to our region, in League One, Bradford City host Peterborough United on the opening day, whilst Huddersfield Town also at home against AFC Wimbledon. The interesting one, and what they have done in League One, is put newly promoted Notts County in a 12:30 kickoff at home to Leicester City, which actually is a very interesting looking game, to be fair.
Yeah. Welcome to League One, Leicester.
Yeah, exactly. Championship-wise, the Friday night game is Wolves at home to Blackburn.
Bit boring.
It's not what I expected anyway. West Ham play on the Sunday away at Burnley. In a game that's a little bit dull, a little bit of a dull way of starting the season as well. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, you should be giving West Ham away at who else came up from League One?
Cardiff.
Yeah, Bolton. That'd be good. Yeah.
You know what? Bolton, to be fair to them, they start with a very, very, very local derby in a 12:30 kickoff at home to Preston. So they've actually got quite an exciting start for them. So have Cardiff City, because they, if I can just find it, will play Wrexham on the Monday night, on Monday the 17th.
Nice.
So basically, it's just Lincoln that have got the short straw, having to go to chuff in Middlesbrough.
You know what? It's a test. it's a game that you won't have had for a long period of time, certainly in the league. It'll be a barometer of where you're at without facing one of the very, very best sides in the division. Given what happened to Middlesbrough.
To be up there, though, to be fair, because obviously they finished well under Kim Hellberg last season.
Well, given what happened to them last season, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of approach this year and how much fire's in the belly and all the rest of it. So there'll be an interesting dynamic under Kim. So yeah, I think that's not a bad little test, to be honest. I think you'd probably prefer the home game, just to kind of try and get that 3 points with the momentum and the build up and the excitement around that first game. But
yeah,
what you're there for, innit? It's the same as Coventry going to Arsenal on opening day. Like, it's what you want to get into that division for. So yeah, should be good.
Yeah, just looking at a couple of games after for Lincoln. Lincoln then at home to Portsmouth on the 22nd and then away at Bolton on the 29th. And them two in particular do look, especially Portsmouth kind of being just above the relegation zone last season and Bolton coming up with us, do look like games actually that we would be very keen to take maximum points out of. It will be interesting to see. Look, we may or may not get around to doing an EFL fixtures release show in full at some point. We'll certainly be doing the preview shows, though, for League One, certainly to come in due course. And even though there's absolutely no West Yorkshire link to the Championship, I might try and find a way to do it anyway.
Yeah, there's a part of you that misses it when you're not in it, but when you're in it, you desperately don't want it. That's how I feel, and obviously that's more from a Leeds perspective than a Huddersfield or a Bradford one, or even a Lincoln one, because them three are going to be in it. They're not going to be out of it, are they? So, but yeah, I know what you mean. I do have a fondness of the EFL, and it's always exciting. It's just much better to watch it as a neutral.
Let's just see how your season pans out in the Premier League, my friend.
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
On that note, we'll wrap it up there then. Jay, thanks for joining me today, mate. I'll be back tomorrow when I think I'm going to be joined by Stephen Brown and Lewis Sale to look at what happens in tonight's games and look ahead to tomorrow and the weekend's fixtures as well, including, of course, England in their final group game on Saturday against Panama, on which we're all playing around to Jaysville. So looking forward to that one. Jay, cheers for coming on, mate.
Thank you, pal.
Not a problem. We'll see you soon and enjoy the rest of your... What the hell are we on now? Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and we'll see you soon. Take care.